Dear viewers, today we will discuss a practical on endocrine glands of rat. Aim of the practical is to study endocrine glands of rat. Introduction. Rats are mammals like humans having a well-developed organ system. They come complete with the key systems like digestive system, cardiovascular system, nervous system, endocrine system and reproductive system. The endocrine system is made up of a network of glands. They produce, secrete and release their product hormones directly into the blood. The major glands of the endocrine system includes hypothalamus, pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid and parathyroid glands, adrenal gland, pancreas, ovaries and testes. The endocrine system helps control the following processes and systems. First is growth and development. Second is homeostasis, that is the internal balance of body systems. Third is metabolism, that is body energy levels. Fourth is reproduction. Fifth is response to stimuli, that is stress and or injury. Now we will discuss various types of endocrine glands in rat like hypothalamus, pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, ovary and testes. First we will learn about hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is present below thalamus, is one of the neuroendocrine gland which controls major endocrine activity of the body. It synthesizes, stores and releases neurohormones or releasing factors, that is hormones, and release inhibitory factors that control pituitary functions. Second gland is pituitary gland. Pituitary gland, also called hypophysis, is a ductless gland of the endocrine system that secretes hormones directly into the bloodstream. The term hypophysis, from the Greek meaning lying under, refers to the gland's position on the underside of the brain. The pituitary gland is a pea-sized gland that sits in a protective sphenoid bone enclosure called the sella turcica. It is composed of 3 lobes: anterior, intermediate and posterior. The anterior pituitary is divided into anatomical regions known as pars tuberalis, pars intermedia and pars distalis. The pars intermedia is also considered as a separate intermediate lobe. The posterior lobe develops as an extension of the hypothalamus. Now we will learn about pituitary hormones and its functions. First, we will see about anterior pituitary. The anterior pituitary synthesizes, stores and secretes the following hormones by special pituitary cell types. First type is somatotrophs. Growth hormone, that is GH, also called as somatotrophin, is released under the influence of hypothalamic growth hormone releasing hormone, that is GHRH, and is inhibits by hypothalamic somatostatin. It promotes the growth, especially growth of the long bones including somatic growth. Second type is lactotrophs. Prolactin, that is PRL, also known as luteotrophic hormone, that is LTH, whose release is controlled by releasing and release inhibiting hormones from hypothalamus. This is important for development of mammary gland. Third type is thyrotrophs. thyroid stimulating hormone, that is TSH, is a glycoprotein released under the influence of hypothalamic thyrotropin releasing hormone, that is TRH, and is inhibited by somatostatin. Its main function is to stimulate the thyroid gland to release two of its own hormones into the bloodstream. These two hormones are triiodothyronine, that is T3, and thyroxine, that is T4, necessary for body metabolism. Fourth type is gonadotrophs. The main gonadotrophs are follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, and luteinizing hormone, that is LH, which are also glycoproteins. Follicle stimulating hormone, it is essential for maturation of spermatozoa, that is mature male sex cells, and development of ovarian follicles. These gonadotrophins are controlled by gonadotropin releasing hormone, that is GnRH, from hypothalamus. Luteinizing hormone, also referred to as lutropin or LH. Luteinizing hormone is a glycoprotein gonadotropin hormone necessary for androgen production by male gonad, which is meant for gamete production and other male characters. It is also important for ovulation in the female. Fifth type is corticotrophs. Adrenocorticotropic hormones, that is ACTH and beta endorphin, are released under the influence of hypothalamic corticotropin releasing hormone, that is CRH. ACTH is released in response to stress and controls the secretion of corticosteroid hormones from the adrenal gland. Second is hormones of intermediate lobe. The intermediate lobe is merged to anterior pituitary. It contains melanotrophs which produce melanocyte stimulating hormone, that is MSH. It is important for melanin synthesis. Lastly, we will see hormones of posterior pituitary. The posterior pituitary stores and secretes but does not synthesize the following important endocrine hormones. First hormone is antidiuretic hormone, that is ADH, also known as vasopressin, and arginine vasopressin, that is AVP, the majority of which is released from the supraoptic nucleus in the hypothalamus. Antidiuretic hormone increases reabsorption of water by the kidney, which prevents the body from losing excessive amounts of water. Insufficient antidiuretic hormone can result in diabetes insipidus. Antidiuretic hormone also causes constriction of blood vessels. Second hormone is oxytocin. It is released from the paraventricular nucleus in the hypothalamus. Oxytocin is one of the few hormones to create a positive feedback loop. For example, uterine contractions stimulate the release of oxytocin from the posterior pituitary, which in turn increases uterine contractions. Third gland is pineal gland. A pea-sized mass of nervous tissue attached by a stalk to the posterior wall of the third ventricle of the rat brain, deep between the cerebral hemispheres at the back of the skull. Melatonin is a hormone secreted by the pineal gland. The hormone melatonin is important for setting and maintaining the body's biological clock, that is, regulating the day and night rhythm based on periods of light and darkness. It is more in night and serotonin is more in daytime. Both are amino acid derived hormones. Fourth gland is thyroid gland. In the rat, thyroid gland is on the ventral surface of the trachea at its anterior end where it joins the larynx. The thyroid gland has two lobes connected by an isthmus, that is, small connecting stalk, and is in the lower part of the neck just below the larynx. The thyroid gland produces three hormones. These are thyroxine, that is T4, triiodothyronine, that is T3, and calcitonin. T3 and T4 are collectively called thyroid hormones and derived from tyrosine and are produced in the follicles, that is hollow spherical structures of this gland. Thyroid hormones are important to maintain basal metabolic rate, that is BMR. Calcitonin is involved in calcium metabolism along with the parathormone, that is PTH. Fifth gland is parathyroid gland. These glands are small and usually difficult to locate. The rat has only one pair and they are embedded in the dorsal surface of the thyroid gland. The parathyroid glands are two pairs of glands usually positioned behind the left and right lobes of the thyroid gland. Each gland is a yellowish brown, flat and ovoid. There are typically 4 parathyroid glands. The 2 parathyroid glands on each side which are positioned higher are called the superior parathyroid glands, while the lower 2 are called the inferior parathyroid glands. The parathyroid gland secretes PTH, that is parathyroid hormone. PTH increases blood calcium by stimulating bone calcium release into the bloodstream and by increasing the calcium absorption rate in the gastrointestinal tract and kidneys. Sixth gland is adrenal gland. In the rat, the adrenal gland are separate structure lying just anterior to the kidney. They have their own blood supply. Each gland has a cortex, that is outer region, and a medulla, that is inner region. Cortex contains 3 regions which are zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata and zona reticularis with high levels of cholesterol. The cortex secretes glucocorticoids such as cortisol, mineralocorticoids and small amounts of androgens and estrogens. Glucocorticoids raise sugar levels in blood by increasing gluconeogenesis, that is synthesis of glucose from amino acid. Mineralocorticoids such as aldosterone promote sodium reabsorption by stimulating the kidneys to absorb more sodium from the blood. The medulla, emergency gland, develops from nervous tissue. The autonomic nervous system controls its secretions. The medulla secretes amino acid derived hormones that are epinephrine, also called as adrenaline, and norepinephrine, also called as noradrenaline. These are chemicals that raise the blood levels of sugar and fatty acids. These hormones also increase the heart rate and force of contraction. These effects prepare the body for the fight or flight response, that is instant physical activity, enabling the individual to think quicker, fight harder and run faster. These hormones also constrict the blood vessels supplying the skin, kidneys, gastrointestinal tract and other areas of the body not needed for the response. Seventh is pancreas. The pancreas is an endocrine organ that lies in the abdomen, specifically the upper left abdomen. It is found behind the stomach with the head of the pancreas surrounded by the duodenum. As an exocrine gland, it secretes enzyme, that is organic catalyst, into the small intestine. Functional units of pancreas are the islets of Langerhans. Insulin and glucagon protein hormone are respectively secreted by the beta cells followed by alpha cells of the islets of the Langerhans. Delta cells secrete a hormone called somatostatin. Insulin and glucagon are extremely important for the regulation of the amount of sugar, that is glucose, in the blood. Eighth is ovaries. The rat ovaries are located on both sides of the uterus below the opening of the fallopian tubes. They are oval or almond shaped. The ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone. These two hormones affect many of the female characteristics and reproductive functions. Estrogen is required to form the ovum, that is egg, during oogenesis and prepares the uterus for implanting a fertilized egg. Progesterone prepares the breast for lactation during pregnancy and works with estrogen to regulate the menstrual cycle. Ninth is testes. The male's testes are oval shaped organs that hang in a pouch of skin called the scrotum outside the male body. The testes produce the hormone testosterone under influence of luteinizing hormone, that is LH. Testosterone is required for sperm formation during spermatogenesis, the development of the genitalia and secondary sexual traits such as beard, hair and voice in the male. Summary. Now, let us summarize this topic. In this practical class, we have studied various types of rat endocrine glands, their hormones and functions to maintain homeostasis in both sexes. Their malfunction may affect normal function status of rodents including other mammals. Thank you.